All wings report in.
HouseDog, standing by.
Mother Goose, standing by.
Lock S-foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Animal Squadron podcast. Today I decided to change it up and go with a little bit more Obi-Wan there, because Obi-Wan's happening right now, and I'm experiencing it like I was watching episode 3 for the first time as a young man. And luckily with me here today is someone else who's been experiencing Kenobi like they're an 8-year-old boy for the first time again. And it's the most spectacular, wonderful, hairy, burly, bearded lumberjack of a man and a co-host that somehow keeps running this show with me. He's my favorite co-host, but then again, he's also my only co-host. Mother Goose. Hello, friend.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for the great intro. And hey, I mean, your brother helped co-host last time, so now officially there's been 3, so I'll still take that favorite spot.
Dang it.
Haha.
No, my Obi-Wan there was pretty good today. I'm feeling on.
It was. It was very good.
I channeled very, very hard.
Which I'm super excited for us to eventually start talking about Kenobi. I think after we finish the movies, Kenobi is going to be the series we got to talk about first.
You know, maybe we'll get to Kenobi eventually. We're just now finishing the movies, and we've never finished Mandalorian. So, you know, here on this show, we just kind of do what we want, and it happens.
It happens. Yeah, you know, Mandalorian, been there, done that. We can get there eventually, you know?
Oh my gosh, are you saying at this point that Kenobi is more important than Mandalorian?
Yes, and you know what? Even more so, I'm gonna lose it when the Ahsoka series comes out. I'm so excited for that one.
Wow.
Like, don't get me wrong, Kenobi's been great. I've loved every episode so far, but I think Ahsoka's has been and still is my most anticipated Star Wars project.
I'm very much surprised, sir.
You know, I just really love what they did with Ahsoka. I mean, think back to when she was first introduced and how much we all absolutely hated her.
I know, she's come a long way.
She really has. She's developed so much as a character and has just become a really beloved fan favorite. But, my friend, we cannot avoid this forever.
I have to say one Obi-Wan thing, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't remember if it's like the first or second episode. If you haven't watched Kenobi yet, this isn't really giving anything away. But whenever Kenobi's in the town, after the end of one of his work days, and he talks to Owen in the town, you know?
Yeah.
And the Inquisitors show up. And
yes.
You're with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a frame where it just focuses on Kenobi, and he like hides in that little stable where his Eopie is.
Yeah,
And he moves to hide behind the wall. And oh my gosh, if it did not look like Sir Alec Guinness himself, the movement that Ewan McGregor did as Obi-Wan, just in that one particular scene, looked like it was cut out of A New Hope, of Obi-Wan hiding behind a wall. I mean, it was just spot on. And like in that moment, I was just watching it and I was like, oh my gosh. Like that's Ben Kenobi. It's not Obi-Wan anymore. That is like Ben Kenobi 100% to a T.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a good, I think where they placed this series in timeline wise, there we go, got it.
Timeline.
Was very smart because it's 10 years after episode 3 and 9 years before episode 4, so like right smack in the middle. So we still get a little bit of Obi-Wan, but we're really starting to see, like you were saying, him become Ben Kenobi and who we see in episode 4.
Yeah, it was just amazing, and I've been waiting to share that with you until we recorded for so long.
Nice.
And I was like, I have to tell Elijah. I have to tell him.
Thank you for waiting. I appreciate it, my friend.
Yes, but I guess the wait can no longer continue because today we are finally doing the much requested by my co-host, and he's the only person that's requested it. Rogue One, the final live-action film in the Star Wars universe at this time.
I have had to fight for us to review this film. Listen, we've got our official ranking of all the films coming up soon, and we could not do that before we reviewed all of them.
You know, I've distracted you with so many random episodes thus far. I thought I could stretch it out a couple more. I was going to suggest having my brother come back again.
Now we've already got our next co-host lined up. They're just waiting for us to finish.
Oh, I have not been privy to this information.
Yeah, so it's going to be my friend Matthew from college, or from when I was at college. I am an old man now.
That was quite an old man laugh that you did there as well.
Exactly. Yes, I may have the body of a 24-year-old, but I have the mind and soul of an 80-year-old man. He actually started watching Star Wars our last year in college, so only a couple years ago, and he absolutely loves it. But his favorite trilogy is the sequel trilogy, and so I think he'll provide a really, really unique perspective for us while we are ranking all of the films.
That will definitely be interesting, considering I don't think I know anybody that is I love the sequel films, but I haven't showed those to my wife yet. So knowing her, she'll probably be like, these are so much better than any of the other ones we've watched so far. And I'll have to try to not strangle her.
Oh gosh. You have given me so much of a hard time on this podcast about quote unquote supporting the strangling of women, and now look who's wanting to strangle their wife. I'm
sorry, did you just say you support the strangling of women?
No,
that's weird. That's not what that soundbite says.
No, I said quote unquote.
Okay, can you just say this for me? I, Elijah Munden. There we go. Now I have the full bite.
That's all you need to put it together. I thought you tricked me. I thought we were going to go through a whole phase. You were going to say something like, support the choking of women, and then I was going to say, do not support the choking of women.
It's okay. You just gave me better sound bites right there.
I know listen, I'm in the audio industry. I know what I'm doing here.
Now I just have to figure out how to splice audio, and I'm there. I'm in it. So here in a year, whenever I figure out how to do that, you're in trouble, sir.
Yes. Oh, also, I need to correct a prior statement. So I was talking about my girlfriend a couple episodes ago and how she prefers Star Trek over Star Wars. And I thought she'd seen the Star Wars films. She actually has not.
You've brought a non-believer into our world.
Listen, you brought a non-believer in first.
I did my job, okay? I fixed the problem.
Listen, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna, we'll watch them eventually. I'm trying to figure out a way to be like, hey, let's do a full chronological watch through. It's not that bad, I promise. It's not like over 12 seasons of television, 11 movies, 12 if you count the Clone Wars one. It's not that bad, I promise.
You see, this is sounding more and more like my quest to get my wife to watch The Lord of the Rings with me. And not just The Lord of the Rings, but the extended version as well.
Yes, you've got to watch the extended edition, no question.
You see, and I haven't seen the extended version of Return of the King yet.
What?
It's my favorite one.
What?
And I finally, like, so the deal was, the deal was, whenever my wife and I were still dating, we had been dating for a little while. I was like, I really want you to watch Lord of the Rings with me, because she's never seen it before. I was like, this is cinematic, like, masterpiece.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
they're the best films ever. I was like, you have to watch them. And she was like, no. And I was like, come on. I watch stuff you want to watch. And she was like, fine, but we're not watching them until we're married. And at that point, my wife didn't think we were getting married for like at least another 2 years or something, or at least another year. Flash forward to like 6 months later, whenever we're married, and you're there. But
yeah, so let me ask you this. Is that why you got married so fast? So
that is the real reason why I got married. Please don't ever tell my wife, but yeah, that's definitely why I did it.
Not love, not so you guys could live together. No, just so she would watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that is the sole purpose I got married. I would have written it in my vows, but I didn't, so.
You know, real missed opportunity, honestly.
It was. But, you know, I figured I had already gotten her to watch Star Wars at that point. I was like, if I just trap her in marriage, she has nowhere to go.
Well, I mean, you know, divorce is always still an option.
No. We're like Mormons. That's like we'd burn in a lake of fire if we got divorced.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you're madly in love and couldn't imagine life without her, or, you know, something sweet like that, but okay.
No, this is all about Lord of the Rings. Don't get it twisted here.
Of course. No divorce until you've watched Lord of the Rings.
Yes, after that, you know, whatever happens, happens.
Now, we were discussing how hard I've had to fight to get us to review this film. I just want it to be known that I wanted to do the films in chronological order. So episode 3, Solo, Rogue One, and then episode 4. So just, you guys can go back and look when we posted episode 3. I think it was almost 2 years ago now, so it's been a while.
The fact that I have managed to put this film off for 2 years is, in and of itself,
It's impressive. It's
It
very
is.
impressive.
it is.
And I really think The Mandalorian, like when you're trying to get us to review The Mandalorian in between the films too, was also an attempt to extend when we had to review Rogue One.
Oh, it was 100%. Luckily, like, the next season was dropping soon too, so I was like, oh, this will be perfect. We'll just rush through season 1 and then go, you know, with season 2, and that'll just further put off Rogue One. And I
Yeah,
was just convinced that eventually you would forget about it and or lose interest. And I must commend you, sir. It's been 2 years, like you said, and you haven't dropped it one time.
If I had to review The Last Jedi, you've got to review the Rogue One.
Okay, I don't know why you're talking about Last Jedi, because you enjoyed it, sir. You enjoyed it.
I will admit, I did enjoy it a lot more than my first watch through, but I still think it's my least favorite Star Wars film.
That's fine. Okay, we've been talking for at least 20 minutes.
Yeah, we're about 15 minutes into our recording right now, I think.
Yeah, we should probably talk about Rogue One, at least.
Okay, so we talked about it. We talked about it in Solo already, the fact that there's no crawl, but this was our first a Star Wars story spin-off film. How did you feel sitting in theaters watching it for the first time and realizing there wasn't going to be a crawl?
Well, like I said, or like you were kind of alluding to, I believe it was put out before the film even came out that there would be no crawl.
No, now that you mention that, I think you're right.
So I had already kind of wrapped my head around that. Rogue One was also a difficult film for me because it was the age that I finally realized that I was too old for midnight releases. And we were in high school.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Looks
well,
like
I remember it was you and me and a couple other of our friends.
Yeah.
And we were all super excited about it. And we were like, we're gonna do the midnight showing because I think it came out on a weekend too, so like we didn't have school or anything, and we were like, yeah, let's all get tickets. Like we found a theater, we got our seats like all together somehow, and we were gonna do the midnight showing. And I was just so tired and sitting there, and I think we've talked about it on the show before, but one of our friends had to wake me up like halfway through the movie because I had fallen asleep.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I think this is my last midnight movie, and I'm pretty sure it was my last midnight movie.
Dang. Hey, but at least now they've started releasing films the day before, like 6 o'clock now.
Yeah. And like I said, I think, because you and I have seen every Star Wars together.
Yeah.
Well, not every one, but since the sequel trilogy started.
Right.
And I think Rogue One, I'm pretty sure that was the last time you and I ever went to a midnight showing together. I'm pretty sure since then you're like, hey, this one's coming out. How does, like Thursday at 7 o'clock work for you? And I'm like, yes, that's just fine.
Yeah, Rogue One was actually because episode 7, my sister was dead set on going together. Like, she specifically said, hey, can we go together and not bring your friends? I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
Sister, I love you. It was a great time. But I really think she just wanted it to be like a family thing. But we did still go see episode 7 together, like the next day, if I remember correctly. But Rogue One was the one where we promised each other as a group that we'd go see all the Star Wars films together. And we're the only two who actually kept up.
Yeah.
It's okay. We still love the rest of you guys.
Well, no, even then, after I moved away, and I remember one of the films was coming out, and you waited for me to come home.
Yeah, I think it was either Solo or The Last Jedi.
Yeah, you waited for me to come. It had to have been Solo, because Solo was whenever they brought back the May release instead of at Christmas.
Right, yes.
Man, memories.
Okay. So I don't really have a lot of notes.
Oh, you were asking me about the crawl. That's how all this started.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, that was my first note. Was I remembered there was no crawl, but we still got the traditional pan up or pan down that happens in every film, besides, I think, Solo.
Yeah. It felt, I mean, even without the crawl, it still felt very, like, traditional Star Wars.
Yeah, and I mean, that opening shot is still amazing because it pans up, and you think you're looking at a Star Destroyer, but it's actually that asteroid ring that surrounds the planet that they're on. And then, of course, the shuttle enters the shot. And I didn't remember this, and I don't know why I didn't. But I noted a couple times in my notes today, but like, this movie is gorgeous.
Yeah, the cinematography and the just like overall effects were fantastic.
I also think the film did a great job. I didn't write it down, but I told myself I would remember, and I actually did this time. This film did a really good job of making, we've talked about it before in previous episodes, but like, the rebels look pretty grungy. And I think that's, one of the things that people always said about the original trilogy was like, these rebels don't look like the ragtag group of people that they're supposed to be. But I think here in Rogue One, they really tried to capture that, and I think they did a really good job of it. Yeah,
something I think Rogue One did really well in regards to the rebels is just, we talked about it a lot in The Last Jedi, actually, just making it feel very hopeless. Like I think in the original trilogy, as amazing as it is, the whole scale of their fight I don't think is shown very well. But here in Rogue One, you can really tell that the rebels are just this ragtag group of people who are hopelessly outgunned.
Yeah. What do you have next? Because my next note is about seeing the hologram of Saw Gerrera, who
That actually
had never.
was my next.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Cool.
my next note.
We're on point today.
Perfect. So I wanted to ask, timeline, like real world timeline. I'm a little fuzzy. Was this the first time we got to see Saw?
In live action, yeah, but no, he was in Rebels.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I
Well,
know he's
even
in
before
Rebels.
Rebels, he was in Clone Wars.
Cool. I don't remember him in Clone Wars. I know he is in Clone Wars, but I just cannot imagine it.
So it's the arc where Obi-Wan, Rex, Anakin, and Ahsoka go to this planet that's being trying to be taken over by the Empire because they're like neutral or something. Like they haven't joined the Republic, but they need help because they don't really have like an army or anything or any training. Like Saw and his sister are really like the only two like real warriors that they have.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Rex isn't wearing his clone armor because it's not an unsanctioned mission, but like it can't be known that the Republic is involved in helping these people.
Gotcha.
So Rex is wearing like a jungle attire outfit kind of type thing.
Nice.
And they go there and help train him and everything, and then Saw's sister gets killed by
Rip.
a droid ship. And that's what kind of like turns Saw into who he is.
Yeah. Do you remember what season is that?
I could not tell you.
Okay. But it wasn't 6, right?
No, it wasn't the last season.
Okay, cool. Because I know Disney Plus came out and they're like, or Netflix got the rights to it, and they did season 6, if I remember correctly, and they're like, we're doing a final season, we're gonna wrap everything up, and then Disney was like, oh, hey, just kidding, we're actually doing this last season, and we're actually gonna tie everything up.
Yeah, the lost episodes, there were some good ones, but it did not complete the series.
Yeah. I think it was more of a, I should say Disney Plus's final season was more a send-off for Ahsoka, setting up, where she'd be in Rebels and where we start seeing her next.
Yeah.
And it's really good. I just think it's more of, like I said, a send-off for her than a series finale.
Yes.
Okay, back to Rogue One. Sorry, I got us distracted. It was great seeing Saw Gerrera. That was really my only note, was if this was the first time we got to see him.
The first time we've seen him in live action.
Live action. Nice.
But it was good.
And then my next note is when the ship's coming down and they park, and I brought this up before, at least to you. I'm not sure if I brought it up on the podcast, but why did they park so far away? It's always really bothered me. They literally were in a spaceship. They could have landed right next to the house.
Because, Elijah, then there's no gravity of them walking up to the house through that beautiful landscape of this planet with the black dirt that I love so much.
It was very cinematic, but also kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, really, I don't have anything until we see Andor.
Wow. I have things.
Yeah, not a lot of notes today. I'm still waking up a little bit. My words aren't forming correctly.
It's okay. I'll get us to Yavin 4.
Thank you.
The new stormtroopers.
Oh, yeah. What are these? The Death Troopers, right?
Yeah, the Death Troopers that don't... Well, they do speak, but the thing about Death Troopers is the reason they sound like that is because whenever they talk and it's heard by the outside, it's all garbled up and mechanical sounding, but inside their headsets is normal speaking.
Gotcha.
It's just to give them that factor of mystery.
Yeah.
And then the Kyber necklace that Lyra gives young Jin, which is very interesting.
Wonder where they got it.
Who knows? Well, Galen has been studying Kyber or whatever for like a long time, apparently.
Right. Probably long before the fall of the Republic.
Yeah. And then, of course, Jin's mom has to die because this is Rogue One and everyone must die.
Yes. I know. I was a little frustrated because when I first saw it, I was like, well, maybe the hiding spot, there's only enough room for one person. But there definitely was enough space for the mom. 100%.
Yeah.
And we'll have plenty of notes without that. We'll have that note We'll have that exact note plenty of times throughout this review, part 1 and part 2. It's Rogue One, so of course everyone had to die. They weren't in episode 4.
Yeah. And one strange thing that I really like, and maybe it's not strange, maybe it's just a little thing, but the little stormtrooper doll that one of the death troopers picks up after Jin runs away after she sees her mom be murdered. I like the little stormtrooper, like homemade stormtrooper doll.
Yeah. It's funny that they would give her a stormtrooper doll.
Well, I mean, it's just like when you're a kid, you have the bad guy action figures and the good guys. Who are they going to fight?
You know what? That's a very good point.
Yes. And then after Jin goes in the little hole and is rescued by Saw, I really liked it, but the screen kind of goes to black and everything. And then, of course, it says Rogue One. I like the stylizing of the gold letters here.
Oh, yeah.
Of where it says Rogue One. It's different than what we normally see, but the styling of it is really cool, and just the shade that they chose for the letters there, I really like that.
Yeah.
And then we talked about it in like a couple episodes ago. I think it was during the solo review. But we were right. This is the film that has the planet descriptors on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which I really like that. It's very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque.
Right. And it's nice seeing them knowing exactly where you are, especially in a galaxy as big as Star Wars.
Exactly. It kind of makes everything like, yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Even though you don't. We also got to see an Imperial prison camp, which was interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Because Jin was there, so I like that. And then it cuts to Cassian Andor, Captain Cassian, going through the streets.
Okay, so while we're talking about him, are you excited that he's getting his own series?
Everybody dies. What's the point?
I know. Out of everything Disney has coming up, I just kind of feel like this is the one I'm least excited for. And who knows? It might be absolutely amazing. I wasn't wanting an Andor series, but I'm sure there are people who are, or who do.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. You could have given me a Poe Dameron adventure series of him and BB-8 just running around, and I probably would have liked that more.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe we will. Maybe we will.
It doesn't have to happen. Don't need it to happen. But it would have made more sense for me for that to be the series than the Andor series. Because honestly, I kind of even forgot there was an Andor series until we watched Rogue One today, and I was like, oh yeah, he's getting his own spinoff for whatever reason.
But, I really think if done right, it could be amazing. Could be really good. And
I mean, anything has the potential to be. So
yeah,
I'm expecting the worst and hoping that I will be pleasantly surprised.
Not a bad way to look at it.
Exactly.
He betrayed his buddy.
Yeah, he learns of the Death Star and then immediately shoots him in the back because the guy has a messed up arm and he can't get out of there, and there's stormtroopers on the way. And I was just kind of like, man, this is like, I note it later, but this film really highlights like the dark parts of the rebellion that like we don't really ever see or it's ever alluded to, but like the rebellion does just as many dirty things
As the Empire.
As the Empire. And we kind of talked about it in was it, I guess it would be The Last Jedi, about how, you know, when DJ is going over with Finn about how everybody is just playing both sides to get rich.
Right.
And that, like, nobody's hands are clean, essentially.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe the Andor series will provide a little more of that. A little, like, deeper look at the dark side of the rebellion.
It certainly could.
Maybe we'll be rooting for the Empire by the end.
Maybe. Are you ready to go to Jeddah?
Yes, and really all I have for this scene here is that massive destroyed Jedi statue. Looks so cool.
That was also
Like, that
my
thing
note
was
for
huge.
Jeddah as well, was seeing the Jedi statue, and I was like, I remember whenever the trailer for this dropped as well, and everybody was like, why is there a Jedi statue on Tatooine? Why are we going back to Tatooine again?
Right. Different desert planet, but also not Jakku.
Yeah.
It's a big galaxy. Lots of desert planets.
Lots of desert planets.
Yeah, that's all I really have here.
Yeah, and then it cuts back to Jin being sprung from the Imperial prison camp.
Yeah, and I really like that. I really like that after the rebellion saves her, she ends up attacking them.
Yeah. She hits them all in the head with a shovel.
And then we get to see one of our best droids.
Yes.
K2SO.
The introduction of the only, in my opinion, the best character in this film. The only one that really matters. The only one that I was really sad about dying.
Ooh. I was very sad about K2SO's death. Spoilers if for some reason you're listening to this and you haven't watched the film.
Yeah. No, K2SO is like the only character that I care about in this film. He was this film for me, and whenever he showed up today, I was like, thank God. I'm so excited now.
Yeah, I love how he just grabs her as she's trying to escape.
Congratulations, you're being rescued. After he just full on body slams her into the dirt.
Yeah. Good for him.
I love him.
I mean, she did
so
just
much.
hit his friends in the head with the shovel.
He's just, K2SO is just, man. He's the droid for me.
Yeah, K2SO is definitely top 3 droids, I'd say.
I think he is my favorite droid.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. There's just so many good droids. We're gonna have to do a best droids ranking at some point.
Yes, we must. But now we are back on Yavin, and like I stated before, like just the cinematography in this movie is amazing.
Really good.
And
yeah.
whenever you think about seeing Yavin from the original trilogy to, seeing it here in Rogue One, it's the same place. It's the same planetary shot, but it just, obviously because of technology and everything, it just looks so
lot better.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. So my first note is I was watching a TikTok recently and the guy pronounced it Yavin. And I was like, and I had a moment of internal like fear. I was like, have I been pronouncing it wrong all this time? But no, I felt bad. Everyone in the comments was roasting him
Poor guy.
Poor guy. It's okay. We've all been there. I mean, go through and listen to the rest of the podcast. I pronounce things wrong all the time.
I mean, it's the whole Leia, Han.
Right. I really like the fact that there's 2 rebel groups that Saw split off on his own and is causing maybe some mischief for the Alliance.
Yeah, he's the, which we see that in Rogue One, or not Rogue One, in Rebels as well, whenever he pops up in the show.
Right. I haven't been able to finish Rebels yet because I keep alternating between Rebels and Clone Wars
Elijah.
instead of just dedicating and finishing one.
Just finish it already. I don't know how you haven't finished either one yet.
Blame it on my crippling anime addiction because I also keep watching different series.
Rebels is so easy to finish. There's only like 4 seasons.
4 seasons. Yeah.
They're like 20-minute episodes on Disney Plus because there's no commercials, no ads. So some of them are like 17 minutes or something. Like, that is so easy to get to. You can watch half of Rebels in a weekend.
I know. I will finish it at some point. I'm a real Star Wars fan, I swear.
If I finish it, I've had to do Rogue One. We're finally doing Rogue One, and you can't dedicate enough time to this show and to our fan base to finish Rebels or
I love
Clone
our
Wars.
fans. I love our fans.
My whole big thing with this Yavin scene here and Jin being like interviewed and whatever was we get to see Mon Mothma again there in her white robe, and then that rebel officer there, he is, I don't know what I feel about him.
A dick?
Yeah, he's slimy. He's
I'll
very
say
slimy.
it. I'm not afraid.
He's very slimy. And I don't know. He's one of those guys that will like complete the mission at any cost. Like he's almost as bad as Saw.
Right. Yeah, it was a little weird seeing him within the Rebel Alliance and not with Saw's group, if I'm being honest.
Or he almost seems like he could be in the Empire.
Right? But you know who's not a dick?
Who?
Bail Organa.
That's true, but he is not here yet.
He shows up in this scene. I'm still...
Bail Organa does not show up in this scene.
What? I'm bringing the movie back up.
Bring it up.
Yeah. I don't think he says anything, but we see him just standing there.
If that's the case, I must have been writing, because Bail Organa was definitely not there until the end of the film.
Oh no, he's definitely in there. I'll give you... Aha! You son of a gun! I gotcha.
Did you really?
I'm bringing it up just to double check, but
So
unless
you don't
I'm
know.
delusional.
Which could very well be the case.
All right, I'll give you time codes and everything.
Please do, because I'm very curious now. Would you like me to continue with the show while you search for your feeble attempt to prove me wrong?
Yes.
So after all that, they talk about her father and everything. She's basically forced to help the Rebel Alliance. And
Right.
they're about to go to Jeddah. In K2SO, I wish I could write down every single one of his lines in this film, because they are all perfect. Everyone is just a masterpiece. And they find out that Jin has a blaster. And K2SO is like, would you like to know the probability of her using it against you?
Yes, I love that line.
So good.
Okay, so I found Bail Organa. 17 minutes and 9 seconds exactly.
Impossible, sir.
I'll just share my screen. I don't think it's gonna let me. I think these apps go black.
Yeah.
So you can't.
Oh,
Son of a gun.
wait, no.
There you go. Yeah, he just kind of stands there. He doesn't say anything, but...
Well, I will color me wrong.
It's okay. I'm allowed to be right sometimes.
Also, your monitor is from 2007.
It really is, but it was free, so
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, no. So really, I just put I love K2SO. Really, I'm pretty sure that's in reference to that exact same line. Do you want to know the odds of her using that against you?
He's the best.
He really is. My next note is I love seeing the Death Star being constructed.
Yeah. But before that, we actually go to Jeddah and see Saw for a little bit.
Oh, then I made no notes on that.
Yeah, no, it flashes over to Saw in his little hideout.
Is this when he talks to the pilot for the first time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
he
that.
talks to Bodhi, and Saw is down pretty bad. The man has no real feet. He's he's basically a machine at this point.
Yeah. Especially with the breathing, it reminded me a lot of Vader.
Yeah, Saw's down pretty bad since the last time we saw him. In Rebels, he was starting to make that transition into who we eventually see him as, but obviously a bunch of stuff happened in between then and now, and I don't even think in Fallen Order, the video game, whenever Saw's in there, I'm pretty sure he still has both of his feet and everything too.
Yeah, no, I think so. And he he jumps onto the AT-AT that we take control of. So, he's still got a little spring in his step at that point.
Yeah, but now we can talk. The transition of, at first we see the Star Destroyer come out of the darkness, and it looks so amazing. And then, as that comes out of the darkness and out of the shadows, it slowly fades to what's behind the Star Destroyer, which is the Death Star being constructed, or its final construction out of the dark. Mm-hmm. That shot in and of itself is breathtaking every time you see it, because you don't even notice the Death Star behind it.
Right.
And
then it's there.
It was
amazing. It reminded me a lot of Episode 4. I feel like there's a similar shot, if I remember correctly, where it's just a Star Destroyer, and then it pans out to reveal the whole Death Star, or at least part of it.
Just cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah, there were a few shots of Star Destroyers specifically that really reminded me of Episode 4.
What did you think about the interaction between Tarkin and Krennic here?
Yeah, I liked it. I think it really shows off how Tarkin and why we hate him. He's a great character, but he's also a dick.
Oh, complete slime ball.
How did you feel about CGI Tarkin while we're talking about him?
It's not like the first time we've seen it.
It's not?
Nope.
When was the first time we saw CGI Tarkin?
Episode 3.
Oh, yes, at the very end, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. But, that was, 2001? Compared to, this should have been 20...
It was definitely not 2001.
It was not? 2003, isn't it? When does Episode 3 come out?
2003. It was 03 or 05.
You're right, because 99... Oh, it's 2005.
There we go. I was right.
I'm trying to think. I think it might be Lord of the Rings that was 2001. Yeah, Fellowship of the Ring. That's what I was thinking of.
But yeah, so it's not like the first time we've seen Tarkin like this. I thought he looked great in this film.
Yeah. A lot of people I've seen have complained about it, but it didn't really bother me.
I thought it looked good. He's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Right.
What are they going to do?
Exactly. Which, there's a whole conversation on the morality of just CGIing dead actors' faces. But, we can talk about that at another time.
I don't care. I'm for it. I'm sure his estate was paid and everything.
Oh, hopefully, yeah. It depends on where they filmed it. Different countries have different laws regarding that, and then I think even within the states, different states have different laws. So I think we as a society are still kind of figuring this out.
Probably. But the whole dialogue between him and Krennic was very
Really good. Yes, for sure.
And then for some reason I wrote down that I love K2.
I don't know, because, okay, she's
Oh,
asleep,
I know what it was.
and she wakes up right before they get to the planet,
I know why I wrote down that I loved him.
because he's awesome.
Yes, but no, it's like after they scope out that Imperial, or not Imperial, but whenever they scope out the city after they've gotten out of the ship and everything, and they tell K2 that he's getting left behind with the ship, and Jyn hands him her bag, and they walk away to go to the city, and he just drops her stuff.
Drops the bag, yes. And what did he say? It's such a great line.
Every line of his is great, but yeah, I don't remember what he said specifically there, but it was hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, so here we get a lot of talk about kyber crystals. We find out that they're using kyber crystals for the Death Star. They're mining it here. So this just made me think, and I'll have another note of this later, but originally the Death Star imploded and then exploded, and there was just nothing.
Yes.
But now I'm starting to think, after we've seen episode 9 and we see that there's still a chunk of the second Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think any kyber crystals survived the explosion? Like, there might just be a chunk of them flying around somewhere?
Well, I don't think so, because in Rebels, we see that, like, whenever kyber crystals become unstable, like, they just blow up.
Gotcha. Good to know.
So,
Rip, I guess. I also want to point out, just before they land and she's having her dream or memory or whatever, we get several instances of the phrase Stardust, which will be important later. Just want to point out how they use it and throw it in there multiple times before it actually becomes important.
yeah, well, her nickname from her father.
Right, being Stardust.
Yeah.
Okay, my next note is on the scene with the pilot when he meets that alien.
Yes, Borgullet. Which, is that the
Borgullet.
alien's name, or what it is?
Or both? I don't know. Saw's a little crazy at this point, so I don't know if he would name it. But also I wrote, oh look, more tentacles.
You have a problem.
I think it's hilarious.
That thing was creepy, and I want to know
It
more about
really
it.
was.
But I also don't want to know more about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and his mind wasn't the pilot's mind wasn't as destroyed as I thought it was.
No, I thought he was going to be like, okay, this is the last we get of the... Like, he's done. He's served his purpose. Like, he's not going to be a character of the film.
No, it's more... I knew we'd get him more later, but I thought there'd be a longer sequence of him, like, trying to, like, rein in his mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I thought the same thing as well.
He's just kind of out of it for a little bit, and then he's back. And I think that was kind of a missed opportunity, because that would have been a really cool thing to explore, especially with... And as much as I genuinely do love this movie, I have no idea what any of the characters' names are, except the main three and anyone we've seen before.
Well, the pilot is Bodhi.
The pilot is Bodhi, but the blind keeper of the will, I think it could have been a really cool opportunity for him to help Bodhi kind of like regain his sanity.
You're talking about Chirrut Imwe?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. So, yeah, we meet the creepy alien thing. It puts its tentacles all over Bodhi, and then we're back in Jeddah City. And as Cassian and Jin are making their way through, they bump into some familiar characters that we see
Oh, yeah.
later.
I was like, oh, hey, it's those guys whose names I totally know.
Yeah, the humanoid guy, his is Dr. something. And the alien is Ponda Baba. I'm pretty sure.
Good on you for remembering, because I had literally no clue.
I forget what he's Dr. something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I also wrote, because we have a Jedi temple here.
Yes.
This made me think, I want to see perspective of Order 66, because we haven't got enough of those.
No, more. Make me relive it. More.
Over and over and over again until it hurts so much.
More.
But no, I want to see perspective of Order 66 from the other Jedi temples. I mean, obviously, they were overrun. The Jedi were killed in there, but these other Jedi temples didn't have to deal with Anakin or the Grand Inquisitor, betraying the temple guards. Like, they didn't have it quite as bad,
Right, and how big was even the clone force on some of these
that
planets?
attacked, right. So that's something I definitely want to know more of at some point.
Yeah, and then like you said, we get to meet the Guardian of the Wills, as they're called, with Chirrut and a couple of others, and he's a very interesting character.
Yeah.
I like him.
I do too. And so this is going to tie back to my last question. He specifically says the strongest stars have hearts of Kyber.
Which is a great line.
A fantastic line, but it made me think of the star that got absorbed by the Star Destroyer. Because it would have just absorbed the energy, and its heart would have, the actual, land mass would have still been there. So
Are you talking about Starkiller Base?
Yeah, what did I say? I said Star Destroyer, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Starkiller Base. I'm just trying to think of, in the future, ways that they could justify the Jedi, having access to Kyber crystals again. And potentially this is one way we could see it. They destroyed this star, there's nothing left of it except its heart, which is made of Kyber. Pure hypothetical. I don't know.
You've just really reflected on this.
Well, the Empire did an amazing job at really wiping out all of their enemies. Not only did they take out the Jedi, but they took away their ability to get their weapon. I mean, not completely. There'll always be Kyber crystals somewhere, but...
Yeah, because, it's been explored in, many different places, but also in, Fallen Order.
Right.
Cal finds that crystal on a planet that isn't Ilum.
Right. But I think that was strategically very smart of the Empire. I was also watching the second invasion of Geonosis on the Clone Wars recently, and it made me think of, I think this is Legends, I don't think it's canon anymore, but all the horrible things the Empire did to the Geonosians after the war to ensure that they wouldn't build another robot army.
Oh, maybe if you would watch Rebels, you'd get that answer.
Maybe I would. I don't know.
I know.
Anyway, what's your next note, friend?
After everything goes crazy in the city, and Jyn Erso shoots an Imperial droid, and then K2SO is right behind her. He's like, "Did you know that wasn't me?"
Yeah, I literally wrote one of the best scenes in Star Wars. It's so funny.
I love him so much. And then, of course, my next note is another K2SO note of, it's after the fight where Chirrut like beats all the stormtroopers up and everything, and they're in cover and they pop up, and K2SO's like areas clear of hostiles were good, and then the other guy that's always with Chirrut like pulls his blaster out him. He's like, one hostile, and puts his hands up. Love it so much.
It's hilarious. But also, it makes me so sad. This guy, what's his name?
Chirrut
could have been a Jedi. Could have been, should have been. Dang you, the Empire.
No, that's the whole idea, is that he's just a guardian, kind of like Maz.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I kind of think of them as like light side acolytes.
Sure.
This is also one of my favorite lines in Star Wars. They put the bags over everyone's head, and he says, "Are you kidding me? I'm blind."
Yeah, I wrote that down. That was my next note too. Was like you said, when they get captured, and he gets a bag over his head. He's like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
And
then I don't have anything until the Death Star fires.
Okay, I think I have like a couple things. Is whenever they're inside of Saw's hideout and Chirrut says to Cassian, this may not be the exact line, but it's paraphrased, where he's talking to Cassian, and he's like, there's more than one kind of prison, and I think that you carry yours around with you.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that is some good writing right there. I may not like this movie that much, but great line.
There's some just fantastic lines within this film.
There are. And then, yeah, my next note is the shot that comes from the Death Star.
Yeah. I think we talked about this in our episode 4 review, but can you imagine just how it would feel being the pilot to fire the Death Star? Like, this incident wasn't so bad, but he still killed thousands of people with the push of a button.
It looked cool.
It looked very cool. But I just think about this person and what they must be going through, like, mentally.
They're probably fine.
Maybe. I don't know. They've done, like, you don't really think about it in episode 4 because the Empire and the Stormtroopers are very, I would say, dehumanized. You know, we never get to see any of their faces. We don't know any of their stories. But over the last, close to 50 years now, almost, of Star Wars content, we're starting to, we get to see more of the Empire and how these are actual people. They're not droids. They're not faceless. They have a story. They have feelings. Like, that's probably a lot.
Yeah.
And is the person who fired today the same person who destroyed Alderaan?
It very well could be.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I've got like 5 notes left.
Yeah, I don't have much left either. My next thing I wrote down was poor Bodhi, but I don't know why.
So this is where we do kind of see him struggling mentally.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's
This
it.
is the first time we see him after he got his mind scanned.
After he got some slimy tentacles all over him.
Got a little slimy tentacle all over him. Somebody was into it.
Yeah, maybe I wrote it down because I feel so bad for Bodhi because he's like trying to do the right thing and he like defected from the Empire and he tries to get this information to someone that he thinks can make a real change, and then he just gets, interrogated and his mind like messed with, and then he's imprisoned.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Ugh, and it gets a little better for him, and then it just gets bad again.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we also get the reveal here in this scene that what's his face built a flaw into the Death Star,
Galen
how do you
Erso.
Yeah, Galen Erso.
That guy.
You can tell I really cared about these characters. I really like this film, and I really like the characters. There's just something about it. It's like Avatar, the James Cameron version. It's a good film. I can't name a single character
Besides Jake, who's the main character.
I could not name Jake, but I can name him now.
All right.
Anyway, how did you feel about the reveal that the Death Star had a weakness built into it?
I like it. I mean, I don't know what else you were going to do with this film to make it relevant, so...
Right, yeah. I mean, getting the plans, regardless of the weakness, if it was there or not, they still were trying to get the plans.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool concept when you think about it, that, like, this man who had everything taken from him, like, found the ultimate way to get back at the people that were essentially imprisoning him.
Right. Oh, you know what? While we're talking about the Death Star plans, I feel like we need to clarify, because there is some confusion within the Star Wars community. This is not the... a lot of people were mad because they were like, I thought a bunch of Bothans died getting this plan. That is actually in reference to the episode 6, the second Death Star. The Bothans died getting those plans.
Yeah, sorry, I had like 6 sneezes there.
No, it's okay. I was watching you. I was like, oh, do I stop? Do I keep going?
I was trying so hard to like not, because I couldn't get to the mute button on my mic. I was like, I just gotta be quiet. He's trying to talk about this. It didn't work.
It's okay. I can always, cut those out in editing.
You know, you always say that, and then I listen back to the episode. I'm like, he didn't cut any of that, and you just hear me sneezing or coughing in the background.
I do cut a lot of it, but yeah, sometimes I forget or am too lazy. But yes, the Bothans was the second Death Star, not this group.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know, because I've been thinking about it. In episode 4, it's 2 meters wide.
Yeah.
Which is over 6 feet.
Yeah.
Which is not as small as they make it out to seem in episode 4.
Did you see that TikTok the other day too?
I might have, yeah.
Where the guy's like, they say 2 meters, but do you realize how big 2 meters is? That's 6 feet. Luke talks about this like he's, bullseyeing some tiny little creature. No, that is 6 foot. He's not hitting a bullseye. He's shooting the backside of a barn.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like a 2 meter shot isn't that bad, but I do think it was cool that there was somebody on the inside working against the Empire that whole time.
Well, when you think about how big 2 meters is compared to the entirety of the Death Star,
right?
It's pretty small.
So small.
Yep.
But, good for that guy.
Yeah.
Putting a flaw in the system.
My next note is another K2SO note.
Cool. I don't have anything until Saw dies.
That's the one right after that. And
Cool.
It's just where K2 gets in contact with Cassian. Because Cassian's like, hey, you need to come pick us up. And he's like, okay, well, there's one slight problem. There is no horizon.
No horizon. Yes. I love that line.
Or he says, I see a problem on the horizon. There is no horizon. And I'm like, K2SO, you are just magnificent, sir.
He really is great. My note is, I know Saw needed to die because he wasn't in the original trilogy, but it still makes me mad that he just, stayed there.
Well, I think that was the point of, making him even worse than we had seen him in the cartoons, was that, he's done. He has nothing else
Left to do. He's fought his fight.
Yeah, his war's over. He has
Yeah.
nothing more he can contribute. He's barely hanging on at this point.
Yes. No, I agree. I mean, I guess a good captain does go down with the ship, right?
I guess so. But, I mean, I thought the same thing as well. I was like, why does he have to die?
I'm all for him dying. I just the fact that he just stood there and let it happen,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he could have had a better send-off.
I do too.
But, oh well, he's dead now. R.I.P.
That was so insensitive, but yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, I really don't have anything until the last fight.
My next one is about how well Tarkin plays Krennic. In that scene
Right?
after we see them escape Jeddah, and then it cuts to Tarkin and Krennic, and Tarkin tells him, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna tell the Emperor, but I'm also taking control of this operation, and you're
I'm
not
take credit for it.
You're not getting any credit. This was all my doing. I'm the better military director. You're trash. And he's like,
Right.
you do realize that Bodhi came from Edu, where your top scientist that you captured like 10 years ago has been leaking the information. And immediately Krennic's like, I will take care of this. And he doesn't realize that he's just playing into Tarkin's plan.
Right. Oh, Krennic, you got played.
He did very, very well. Because then whenever you think about episode 4, like it's always been thought of that Tarkin was, the one who did everything with the Death Star and everything. And really you find out that, I mean, if you know Tarkin's character from like Clone Wars and Rebels and everything, it really plays into who he is, which is just a greaseball. And now you know that like he did nothing with the Death Star really until it was successful enough for him to take over from Krennic.
Right. Take over, take credit.
Which is great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, literally my note is on Andor as he's about to shoot Galen. Gaelic.
Garlic?
Garlic?
My thing before that is just a K2 line. Whenever they get to that planet and they crash land, he's impersonating Jin, and he's like, one shot and it all goes down. That's how you said it. One shot and it all goes down. I'm like, I love you so much. Never die. No one can ever hurt you. You were my special boy.
Except, how many of those exact units did we kill in Fallen Order?
Oh, so many. I hated them.
I know. They were just kind of silent there, and they were awful.
Yeah, they were super hard to kill.
Another note, I didn't make note of this, but I also love his note just a few minutes later, when everyone leaves and he turns around and he's like, if Cassian comes back, we are so leaving without them.
Yes. Yes. He's the best.
Yeah. K2SO really was the heart of this film.
He was. But what do you think about it's my last note until everything, plays out the way it does, but they received that transmission from the Rebel Alliance, and it's Cassian's like true mission to go assassinate Galen, because they think that's gonna fix everything. And I just wrote down, like we talked about earlier, I was like, this is really the dark side of the rebellion. Like, it's pretty crazy.
The ends justify the means.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was kind of frustrating because we as an audience know it's already too late. The Death Star is already finished. But I guess the rebellion doesn't quite understand that yet.
No, they have no idea.
So, it was a little... It was frustrating to watch. But, they didn't know. So I'll give them some slack.
Yeah, but it's also like, they're the rebellion. These are good guys. Like, why are they on assassination missions behind people's back while the daughter is there?
Yeah, and it would have been so much smarter to capture him regardless of whether they know it's built or not, it would have been so much smarter to capture him for information.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this guy, I said it before, I'll say it again. He's just a dick.
He is.
So, we've got Cassian with Galen in his sights, and he last minute decides not to pull the trigger.
I know. I was there.
I just wrote, good for you, Andor.
He just couldn't bring himself to do it.
I really did like the discussion on the Force and how it darkens around people who are about to kill. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. It was. I noticed that too. And it was very... It was seeing a different side of the Force without a Jedi telling us, which is always cool to see.
Which, as much death that was brought about by the Civil War, I could see how the Force got a little dark.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't have anything until Jen meets with her dad for that last time.
Go right ahead. You're running the show here.
Oh, are you done with notes?
I'm done.
Oh, okay, cool. No, I just thought that it was very sweet that even though he did pass away, and it was a sad scene, I really appreciate that she got to see him at least one last time. Sucks she had to see her dad die, but...
And that the rebellion bombed a platform.
Yeah, and it's 100% their fault he's dead.
Yeah, and they didn't even kill Krennic.
They didn't even kill Krennic. I know. I was a little frustrated with Andor for not shooting Krennic. I know that wasn't his mission, but I was still hoping it would happen.
Yeah, like, why wouldn't you take down the guy that's, like, in charge of this project?
Right, and, you know, it's most likely he didn't know.
Yeah.
But Krennic was very, very well dressed, and, I mean, the bombs were already coming down. Why not just take out the highest-ranking officer you see there?
Exactly.
But that's none of my business.
I'm not in the rebellion. I don't know.
And then, really, my last note is after the dad has died and they're just running back to the ship, it's just a music note. I really, really love the score that they use for that scene. It's really good.
You know, that is one thing I don't think I noticed at all in this movie was music.
Overall, I felt like the music was good. Same thing with Solo. It was good, but it wasn't, like, iconic like most of the Star Wars music.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's everything I have.
I will say, here at the end of part 1, I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't struggling
Really?
to get through the first half. It was good. It was good.
You thinking maybe this may not be your least favorite Star Wars film?
No.
Or it still holds the spot?
It still holds a spot.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy this film, but it's probably a little lower in terms of ranking.
It's not above Last Jedi, I know that.
Oh, it's definitely, it's probably above all of the sequels. And maybe Solo, I don't know.
You have problems.
Yeah, I know. I'm crazy. Anyway, no questions today, but if you'd like to be a part of this podcast or you have any questions you'd like to hear us answer, you can email us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that is animalsquadron@gmail.com. HouseDog, you got anything else before we head out?
Part 1 in the books, part 2 coming up sometime. Go check out my brother. He's
Zio Racing.
Yep, Zoe Racing on like everything. I think he has all of his accounts and everything set up, but he does Twitch and YouTube. So go check him out. Elijah will link him in the description. If you like F1 streaming and just hanging out, I enjoy F1 streams because they're good. Most guys that do it just kind of chill, and it's just something good to have on. Yeah, go check that out.
Yeah, and if you want if you, for some reason, you're listening to this and you haven't listened to our last episode, he was actually our first guest star.
Our first guest star on the show.
Yeah. Anyway, for the Animal Squadron, this has been Mother Goose.
And HouseDog.
We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.